the resolution, she will ask Mr. or Councilmember Kirby if he has any questions. Then she will go down and ask each one of you individually, council. Do you want them to explain first, Paige?
I'm sorry?
Do you want them to, do you not want them to, whoever's, the person to
Yes.
address it?
Yes,
not
yes, it's
explain
when we have
it?
discussion.
That's normal process.
Yeah, that way you won't have everyone trying to talk at once on the phone. Guys, can y'all hear pretty well? Yes or no?
Started.
We have not officially started yet. We will in just a moment. I need to know.
Thank you.
Christy and Chuck. Mr. Jackson, are you here?
Present.
Here.
That didn't sound like him.
No, that wasn't Mr.
That
Mr.
was
Jackson.
Christie.
Okay, very good. All right, are we ready?
Yes.
We'll go ahead and start. We will start tonight with, I have asked Father Chase Ackerman of St. John's Episcopal Church to start us with a prayer this evening. Chase, are you with us via phone?
I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Chase. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I invite you to pray with me. Gracious God, on behalf of all who are gathered here this evening, I offer you thanks. I thank you for the gift of life that has been given to each of us. I thank you for your creation and the rebirth and renewal we see all around us during this season. I thank you for the special opportunity you have given those in this meeting to be faithful stewards of the trust and authority the people of this city have commended to them. Loving God, I ask that your ever-reaching arms of love be around us and all of the human family during these scary and uncertain times. I ask that your sense of peace and courage be with those who are sick and all who are suffering physically, mentally, or spiritually throughout the world. I especially ask that your strength and protection be with all doctors, nurses, and first responders who embody selflessness every day for the sake of those they do not know. Guide the proceedings of this evening with the knowledge that the decisions made by this body will affect both the rich and the poor, the powerful and the powerless, and those whose society has already forgotten. May we in all things strive for the greater good, and always remember that our quest for true peace and wisdom can only begin with your unfailing guidance and love. All these things I ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father. All right, and the quote I have for this evening.
Pledge.
I'm sorry?
Pledge.
Oh, we can do the pledge. Let's go ahead and do the pledge.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry.
well.
Sorry. The room confused me.
That's right, sorry. The quote I have for this evening. Almighty God, does it make any lock without a key? Likewise, God doesn't give us any problems without a solution. Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for being here. Thank you, Chuck and Christy. Mr. Jackson, if you're on the line, thank you. Thank you, directors. We will start. First of all, let me say just a personal note to our small business owners from me personally, but I really think all of our councilmen support this 100%. We know these times are difficult, and we thank you. We understand and know that you are the backbone of the city. Without the small business owners, Decatur would not be what it is. Some of these small businesses were here way before big box was even a thing. So we have so many community outreaches. We have NARCOG, we have the Chamber, we have other entities that are helping with the grant process as far as the loans from the federal government. And if any of the small businesses out there need any direction, please call council. We will get you directly tied in to one of these entities. Thank you again for what you do for our community. We have tonight the City Council regular meeting minutes for March 2nd, 2020, 6 p.m. Any questions? Mr. Kirby?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ard?
No.
Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
City Council special called meeting, March 12, 2020, 8 a.m. Mr. Kirby?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ard?
No.
Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
No.
All right, we will set public hearings. This will be setting public hearings. Resolution 2090, set public hearing on abatement of unsafe conditions at 2618 Pool Avenue Southwest to be held on May 4th, 2020, 6 p.m. Mr. Lee?
I'm here.
All righty, we're ready.
Of course, this is just setting the public hearing, so I don't normally comment
All
at
righty.
this
And
time.
are these the ones that you've given us handouts for?
I don't think so.
No, ma'am, those will be for actual preparation for the public hearings at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions, Mr. Kirby?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Ard? Ms. Hill?
No, ma'am. No.
Mr. Jackson?
I don't have anything.
All right. Ordinance number 204400, set public hearing on pre-zoning request 134820 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
Hi, Paige and Council. This is Karen Smith with the City Planning Department. This is a request to pre-zone a 10.97 acre tract to R3 Single Family Residential Zone. The property is located on the west side of McIntyre Lane, north of Sims Road and south of Wingate Way. It is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and comes to you with a recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission.
Any questions, Mr.
Are there
Kirby?
any questions?
Mr.
Karen, can you repeat those vital statistics you just read off?
Excuse me, Mr. Kirby?
The location and the acreage, please.
2.97 acres.
The location is on the west side of McIntyre Lane, in between Wingate Way and Sims Road. It is next to Windsor Place subdivision and London Place subdivision.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
Karen, when we talk about pre-zoning, what do you actually, is this a contingency or something?
Remember a few months ago we sent you some information on doing pre-zonings when we were working on Old River Road? A pre-zoning allows us to apply a zoning district to a piece of property prior to annexing it. They are then required to annex the property within 180 days of the approval of the pre-zoning, or it becomes null and void.
So it is basically a contingency of, it's just contingency then, really, is what we're saying?
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes, that
All
is
right,
correct.
Good. All right.
Thank
thanks.
you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Ordinance number 204401, set public hearing on rezoning request 134920 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
Hi, this is a request from Greystone Properties. It is on the property that we're calling Black Branch Point, but are now calling Legacy Cove. It is on the north side of Point Mallard Drive. They are asking to rezone the R3 area to R5 single-family patio homes. Both zoning districts are single-family residential districts, and they will both fit in the riverfront mixed-use district that's been applied to, or land use that has been applied to this area. The Planning Commission does recommend that you approve this request.
Any questions, Mr. Kirby?
Karen, does either the R3 or R5 allow multifamily within the same zone?
No, sir, they do not.
Thank you.
They're both single-family residential zones.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
I'm good.
All righty.
Ms. Bibby, may I make one other comment? They are doing this in order to better utilize the lots that they've created so they can build larger homes. There will be no changes to the subdivision plat at all.
Thank you, Karen. Ordinance number 204402, set public hearing on pre-zoning request 1350-20 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
This is a request from the Wilshire Development Group. They are asking to pre-zone let me get my map, 4.63 acre tract to R3 Single Family Residential Zoning District. This property is located on the east side of Central Avenue and north of Ryan Drive and Pool Valley Road. This area is getting, all three of the next three requests go together. The end result will be one large single-family residential plat of approximately 120 lots.
Where is that location again?
And it is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and comes to you with a recommendation for approval.
Off Pool Valley, I believe. Karen, what is the location again?
It is on the east side of Central Avenue, north of Ryan Drive and Pool Valley Road.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
No, I don't have anything.
Ordinance number 204403, set public hearing on rezoning request 1351-20 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
This is a request to rezone a 20.9 acre tract from M1 Light Manufacturing to R3 Single Family Residential. It is located on the east side of Central Avenue, north of Ryan Drive and Pool Valley Road, in a mixed, kind of a commercial zone, but we're recommending that we change this to a single-family residential land use, and the Planning Commission is recommending that you approve this request.
Mr. Kirby?
I'm good.
Mr. Ard?
I'm good.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
No, I don't have anything.
Ordinance number 204404, set public hearing on rezoning request 1352-20 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
This is a request to rezone a 12.5 acre tract from RMH Single Family Manufactured Housing Zone to R3 Single Family Residential Zone. This property is also located on the east side of Central Avenue, north of Ryan Drive and Pool Valley Road. It is much, much closer to Ryan Drive, but I will tell you that all the phone calls we've gotten on this one have been very positive. It does come to you with a recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission, and the land use on this property is mixed neighborhood.
Mr. Kirby?
All these last three, Karen, they all have the same owners, landowners?
Yes, sir, they do. It's Wilshire Development Group.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
Not at this point.
Ordinance number 204405, set public hearing on rezoning request 135320 to be held on May 4th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Karen?
Okay, this is a zoning request. This is a request to apply a zoning to a piece of property that we've annexed recently. It's a 4.42 acre tract. It is on the north side of Brookline, north side of Old Moulton, right where Brookline comes into it. We are recommending a B1 neighborhood commercial zoning district for this one.
Mr. Kirby?
Nothing.
Mr. Ard?
Not at this time.
Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
That's the car washes, right, Karen?
No, sir, it's next to the car washes. The car washes on the left-hand side of the Cowboys are on this property, but I don't think the ones on the right-hand side or on the east are.
Okay, so it's neither car wash then? Is that correct?
Excuse me?
Exactly where is it? Is it between the two car washes then?
Yes, sir. This is the Cowboys store.
The Cowboys,
And the car
Cowboys
wash.
itself?
Yes, the Cowboys itself, and the car wash on the west side of the Cowboys itself. But not the car
Karen,
wash
does
on
it
the east.
include the area in the back of the Cowboys?
Yes,
Where
sir, it
I
does.
think
It goes-
those are, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You're
And
welcome.
you said before, it does not, this is not going to have any impact at all on the houses that are west of the little, not Sherwood, but the house that's right next door to the Cowboys. It won't have any impact on that at all, will it?
They are not involved in this request. It should not
Okay.
have any impact on them. It will
Okay.
allow them to have alcohol sales,
Okay.
which is the
Good deal.
reason they came into the city limits.
All right.
Now,
Thank you very much.
We chose to go with the B1 zone because it's significantly more restrictive than the B2 zone.
Exactly. I understand that. That's a good move. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Public hearings, ordinance number 204394, rezoning request number 1344-20. Public hearing set on 3/2/20. Karen.
This is a request to rezone a .44 acre tract from M1 light manufacturing to B5 Central Business District. It is at the northeast corner of Cherry and Railroads. This is a request to allow them to do a mixed residential use on the property, and it comes to you with a recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission. It is in a downtown commercial land use district.
No questions.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
Is that Herb's old place, Karen?
It's still Herb's place. Herb is one of the
Okay.
applicants on this.
Okay. Good deal. Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You're
Ordinance
welcome.
number-
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Ordinance number 204395, rezoning request number 1345-20. Public hearing set on 3/2/20. Karen?
This is a rezoning request to rezone a 31-acre tract from Ag 2 Agricultural to M1A Expressway Commercial. It is located south of Sims Street at the end of Fairgrounds Road. It does come to you with a recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission. You did ask us to go back in and try to work with the property owner to get some more definitive ways of maintaining the land use and the buffer zone and that kind of thing. We have put through the Planning Commission an addendum that will be added to the certificate to subdivide that they did to create this lot. That was approved by the Planning Commission last month, and it will be recorded prior to advertising this rezoning.
Property owner okay with that, Karen?
Excuse me?
Is the property owner okay with that?
Yes, he did agree to it, and we've worked with him on developing the list.
Mr. Kirby?
Karen, can you repeat what the original current zoning is?
The current zoning on it is Ag 1,
Oh, Ag one.
AG1,
or
okay.
Ag 2, I apologize.
Ag 2, okay. And I have met with Jeff Parker on this, and he answered all my questions satisfactorily.
Mr. Ard?
So Karen, Mr. Parker agreed to everything that was asked for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, I have no questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
I'm good.
Ordinance number 204396, pre-zoning request number 1346-20. Public hearing set on 4/6/20 at 6 p.m. Karen?
Okay, I'm turning my pages in my file. Give me, okay.
No
This
worries.
is a request to pre-zone 91.9 acre tract to R3 single family residential zone. property is located on the west side of Old River Road and north of Upper River Road. There is a small notch taken out of this that's smaller, that makes sense, that we'll talk about in the next request. The recommendation for this is for approval from the Planning Commission. The future land use on this is mixed neighborhood.
No questions.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
Was that unanimous vote by the planning commission, Karen?
Yes, sir, I think it was.
Okay, and as far as residents in that immediate area, what were their thoughts?
We had one resident, the resident actually didn't come to the pre-zoning hearing. We've been working with one of the residents that we have a plat in for this area right now. We've been working with that resident. She is concerned about drainage in the area. There are 3 access points to Old River Road on this one. She has some concern about the location of those access points. There's also one access point to Deer Road, which is on the other side, and she had some concerns about that as well. But we have that as the only resident we've heard from in this particular instance. Now, the neighbors in this area have been very vocal and very involved in the process. It is a single-family residential zone. There is no proposed multifamily on this plat or in the zoning districts that we're recommending for this development.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Karen, I do have a question. What is the notch?
The notch is a recommended R6 zoning district, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and that is single-family, semi-attached, not multifamily. There are no provisions, there's no request to do any multifamily in this area at this time.
Those are
Okay, thank you.
They're
You're
townhomes,
welcome.
Chuck.
Excuse me?
I was talking to Mr. Ard, they're townhomes. They will mirror the Glen.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, they will mirror the Glens, which is up Indian Hills on the left, happens to be in Priceville. Look just like those. Ordinance number 204397, pre-zoning request 134720, public hearing set on 3/2/20. Karen?
Okay. This is a request to pre-zone a 5.25 acre tract to R6 single-family semi-attached townhomes. The property is located on the west side of Old River Road, north of Upper River Road. If you're looking at your map, one of the access points is planned just north of this red cross-hatched area. It is important to note that each one of these structures, while attached, will be on a single lot. And the recommendation on this is for approval. It is in a mixed residential future land use.
Mr. Kirby?
No questions.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Resolution, thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you. Great job, Paige.
Thank you, Karen. Resolution 2052, abatement of unsafe conditions at 1039 East Bolton Street Southeast. Public hearing set on 3/2/20, excuse me. Mr. Lee? Or Sal?
Yes, ma'am. How are
Police
you this
Department.
evening?
I'm well, and you, sir?
Good, good. On this particular one, property was purchased by an owner in California. It was condemned back on November the 6th, and we've not been contacted by them. We were contacted one time by a real estate agent that said they were connected, but we don't know how. They've made no progress towards any repairs, and the building remains open and unsecure. It was a problem for the neighborhood, and our attention on the property was requested at that time by the police department. we've done everything that is available to us, and we've made all of the required notifications and then some, and it would appear that the only thing left for us is to ask that the council authorize the demolition.
Mr. Lee, that was November the 6th of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Kirby?
No questions at this time.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
Nope.
Resolution 2053, abatement of unsafe conditions at 406 7th Avenue where is that? Southeast, southwest? Mr.
This
Lee?
is Southwest.
Thank you. Public hearing set on 3/2/20. Mr. Lee?
Yes, ma'am. Again, we've pretty much done everything that we can by any remedies available to us. We've tried prosecution. We've given extensions when they were requested. Still, no progress towards repair demolition. The owner did purchase a demolition permit with the understanding that if they fail to complete the demo or carry out the demo by the time of the council meeting, that if y'all so authorize the demolition, that we would go ahead and move forward if they haven't. And they've not done anything as of yet. And again, we've made all required notifications and then some. So at the next meeting, we'll ask that the council authorize the demolition.
Mr. Lee, how long have you
David,
been working with this resident?
We condemned the building on November 21 of 18.
Of 18, thank you. Mr. Kirby?
David, I see the write-up of the timeline here, and that's very good information. I appreciate it. Looks like the closer that you've gotten to today, the more conflicting information you've gotten.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kirby. I had a lot of feedback for some reason.
It looks like as we've gotten to the more recent dates, you've gotten a lot of conflicting information on this.
We have, and we've tried to work this out. And again, we've been through criminal court with it, and it's involved in some other cases. And of course, he's not in town.
Thank you.
Lives in Huntsville, so it's kind of hard to lay hands on him.
Mr. Ard?
I have no questions.
Ms. Hill?
Yes, I have a question for David Lee to confirm the address, because in the public packet on page 235, it states southeast. Can you just confirm?
It is southwest.
Okay, well, the public packet needs to be updated.
Thank you, Christie. Mr. Jackson?
I don't have anything right now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Resolutions. Resolution 2091, approve a budget amendment to repair bridge at Decatur Morgan Landfill in an amount not to exceed $19,000. Wanda, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. We're asking for approval to make a repair to one of the concrete bridges at our facility. One of the deck joints has become worn, had a little bit of separation and also some jagged edges. And we want to make this repair because we need to, the integrity of the bridge needs to stay intact, and also for safety reasons. We don't want to cause any, tire punctures or anything for our customers. While this repair is being done, we do have an alternative route that customers will take so the traffic flow won't stop.
Council, you do have pictures in your packet of this bridge and the damage?
Yes.
Mr. Kirby?
Ms. Tyler, what's your time frame on these repairs?
We were told it would take approximately 3 days.
All right, so anytime in a week or two, it can be done pending weather.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
Wanda, does this put the bridge in the condition that you need and want?
Yes.
There are no other places?
No, Sujat came in and those were the only issues that they found in regards to the bridge.
Thank you.
Ms. Hill?
No, but thank you for the photos.
Absolutely. Mr. Jackson?
No.
All righty. And we'll go to Resolution 2090. Thank you, Wanda. 2092, authorize the mayor and legal department to pursue condemnation of property for Shady Grove Lane widening. Chip?
Yes,
And Carl is here. Thank you, Chip.
Ms. Bibby, this is the widening of Shady Grove. We started off with 21 tracks, 16 have closed. 2 of the remaining 5 were opposed from the beginning. They never would entertain offers. The other 3 accepted offers. When we tried to close on one, they said that they'd never agreed. We never came off that. Another one countered with about triple what we had settled for. We weren't willing to do that. And the third one, we don't know. We can't reach them, so we're just including them in it. But that's the 5 remaining tracks.
Okay. Mr. Kirby?
Chip, be sure I understood you. So of the 5 remaining, 3 have now been resolved.
No.
Oh, this is condemnation for
Originally,
all
when
5?
The 5 include those.
Okay. And condemnation only means that they'll end up getting fair market value out of it, right?
Correct. It'll be set by the commissioners in the probate court.
And are all these properties outside the city or inside the city?
Depending on which side of the road
So they alternate on both sides?
we've got some on both sides.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
Chip, the one that you have been unable to reach, how will that be handled in the courts?
Same way, it'll be that there was not an agreement reached. They'll get notice from the court. If they don't come to that, it'll go through. The only reason they come to court is to contest it, so we can go through the court and have the commissioners still set the amount. We'll pay that amount into probate court, and it'll be sent to them.
Okay.
And Chip, I'm sure that you made these residents aware that municipalities cannot pay more than the fair market appraisal price by law?
Correct, but the commissioners, we offered what the appraised value was.
Right.
The commissioners can set any
It's
price.
their discretion, right?
Right.
Okay. Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
No, I'm good.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry,
sir.
one more question, Chip.
Yes, sir.
My apologies. The time frame for the legal process on this, what are you expecting on that?
Once we file, and right now we can't get into the building over there to file.
So that's an unknown, really,
Right,
what's
but
going
once we
on.
get in, typically it takes 90 days.
So we're at least 90 days away, and depending upon whether the national emergency goes.
Correct.
Okay.
There's 2 steps. We have a hearing on whether or not it's legal for us to condemn it. The judge has a week or 10 days to make that ruling. When that ruling is made, then he appoints commissioners. The commissioners have another hearing, and they have 7 days to set a price. At that point, we pay that price into the court.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chip. Resolution 2093, authorize the mayor to execute interim consultant agreement with Mr. Wally Terry.
Herman may want to be heard on this, but the agreement is in the packet. If you've got any questions about it, it would make Wally a consultant for up to 90 days at the pay per hour that's set out in the agreement.
Did you say up to 90 days?
Yes.
Up to 90 days.
This is Herman. There's limits on how much, we got to stay within the limits of how much he makes when he's retired with that retirement gross plus his gross payment here. So you've got that plus there's an additional state code section which limits the amount he can earn. But we've reviewed that. HR's reviewed it. Of course, Wally's reviewed, and I've reviewed it, and we're comfortable that we can meet and stay within those guidelines. In addition, it has to go to the director of the Ethics Commission to be approved, and once we got it approved with the council, if you so choose, then we'll get it to the Ethics Commission director, and he can approve it, hopefully timely. So
Herman,
that's what we have. Thank
Herman
you.
or Chip, you can answer this. This is very similar to Mr. Jeff Dunlop's 90-day agreement that we did about a year or so ago. Okay. Mr. Kirk?
That's right. It's 90 days from the date of retirement. So that's why you see a weird date of July the 29th, because that's 90 days from the date of retirement.
All right, Herman,
That's why.
Herman, that's the basis of my question. Obviously, we're in uncharted territory here with this national emergency, and is it absolutely legally tied to the day he retires, or if we have a greater level of emergency at that point in time and we pretty much suspend a lot of activities, can that clock begin at a later date?
Now, the statute's very clear when it starts and when it finishes. Only you'd have to get the state law changed, if I understand your question. No, it's very clear. It's an exception. Several years ago, a director of this nature could not be retained for 2 years from the date of retirement, if I'm understanding your question. But no, there's no provision to extend this.
Thank you.
That's not to say that the governor or somebody can't change it, but that's the present law.
And you don't think the declaration of a state of emergency can have any impact on that?
I do not.
Thank you.
Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill?
No questions.
Mr. Jackson?
No, at this point.
Thank you, sir. Resolution 2094, approve fiber repair at Ingalls Harbor Pavilion, and in your packet, there will be pictures of the fiber laying on the ground. Brad? I saw Brad. Is Brad going to?
I'm here. I'm here on the phone.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Go ahead.
It's Brad Phillips, Information Systems Department. This is to authorize the funds to repair the broken fiber that goes to Ingalls Pavilion. It's aerial fiber. It was struck by a vehicle and damaged. And this is the second time within the year, I think within eight months, this has happened. And we also share fiber on the pole with DU. And DU has, we've decided we want to try to bury it this time so we can won't have these problems about cars breaking the fiber. And the money, I believe, is going to come out of the Ingalls Parking Fund. And Herman might be able to answer this better, but there's also a chance we'll be reimbursed from the person or the insurance company, the person that hit the pole.
Okay, so we are waiting on an insurance claim possibly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're looking at two options. One option is insurance, and the other option is, without getting into too many details, seeking restitution through the municipal court process because of the nature of this accident.
Okay.
But anyway, there's two options. Yes, he's correct. We would seek insurance, which we've done. They're pushing back right now, but we're pushing back toward them. They need to give us more explanation, which we've asked for.
Thank you, Herman. John, did you say that would come from Fund 2?
$2 lodging tax that supports Ingalls.
Okay, yes, did council hear that? That would come from the $2 lodging tax that goes to Ingalls? And in the pictures, you may notice...
Where's the cost of this repair?
I'm sorry?
Where's the cost of this repair? We don't know yet. We're still waiting on the last quote. I think it was written to not to exceed $20,000, but I think it'd be less than that, maybe, hopefully under 15 actually. And this is a little bit more expensive than normal because we're burying it this time. But I think the last time we had it repaired, it was around $7,000 if I remember correctly. I have to get back and check with that.
And if you'll notice in the picture, council, it's right in that curve, and undoubtedly it's been hit more than twice, but this happens to be in 1 year. Mr. Kirby?
John, when you say that $2 lodging tax, there are 3 of those funds, right? I mean, this
This is the lodging tax that we had previously discussed to have the balance when we were looking for the.
you have a surplus balance above what they're paying off, what you're saying.
Yes, sir. This is that pot of money that we were looking to consider AC at Ingalls, and we opted not to.
Gotcha.
So there's a balance.
And I would recommend to the Hospitality Association that they be comfortable with this since it directly affects Ingalls, but I do think the city should communicate with the Hospitality Association and ask their thoughts on it. Again, it would be my intention to recommend that they do it because it does affect them.
I agree. Are you that liaison?
Yes.
Okay, could you do that? Could you make that?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Ard?
No questions.
Ms. Hill? Ms. Hill? Hope you haven't gone into labor.
I was on mute. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So in the public packet, the financial impact, the repair and maintenance funding source, is that incorrect?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's where it'll be expensed
It's going to be expense.
That's the lodging tax, the $2 lodging tax?
Fund.
to. Right.
That is correct, Christie, that fund that it is listed under.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jackson?
I don't have anything.
All righty. Thank you, Brad. Resolution 2095, approve the emergency paid sick leave, emergency family medical leave policy. Rochelle, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead.
These policies are written to comply with the recently enacted HB 6201 Families First Act. These are emergency sick leave and expanded FMLA benefits available to employees directly affected by the coronavirus. The the only changes we're making in our policy that we're recommending is that rather than the 2/3 pay requirement for child care, we're recommending 100% of their pay. And the 10-day elimination period for the expanded FMLA, we're recommending that we waive that, and the moment they're eligible, they receive their paid benefits under this act. This policy would expire on December 31st of 2020.
Mr. Kirby?
For what period of time might this cover 100% of pay?
Up to 80 hours.
Per
Or a
what?
$5,000 cap under the expanded sick leave, and for the emergency sick leave on the expanded FMLA, it's $10,000.
Okay, a $5,000 or $10,000 cap, in other words, that's the most it can ever cost us.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Ard?
per employee.
So, Rochelle, does that mean that if a person is concerned about coming in, that under FMLA, if they filed for that, they would get paid for those 2 weeks?
Yes, if they meet the requirements. Eligibility requirements are defined in the policy.
Okay.
Stacey,
So
do
would
you
it
have these?
be, would that be a reason that they did not feel comfortable coming in because of the coronavirus?
The way the provisions are written, the city can make that a contingent approval and then follow up with the employee after that. So we can approve it on the front end and then work with the employee one-on-one with medical requirements after the fact.
So if we do that, if we had a large volume of people to not want to come in, how would we deal with that? How would we determine who gets it and who doesn't?
Well, it would be case by case, but the provisions of the Act do require that it is directly related to the virus. They're either quarantined under the state or federal or local requirements. They're under a medical care or care of a medical provider. They are directly exposed to a spouse or a child and have to provide the care for the spouse and the child. There has to be evidence there is a direct exposure to the virus. So
Okay, so then it does not cover if they just feel uncomfortable coming in.
No. If they just have a general discomfort, then no. If they have a discomfort because, someone says they were exposed to something, then we would discuss that.
Oh, yeah,
on page
no.
8.
No,
Yeah.
what I was worried about, Rochelle, is that if that would pretty much allow everybody to take 2 weeks off with full pay, and I was worried about how we would make the city, how we would function.
Understand? Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Hill?
No question.
Mr. Jackson?
No, I don't have anything.
Rochelle, I had just one question, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I have not read through this, it was added late. Is a required doctor's excuse, or what is required to make sure these qualifications have been met?
There is medical documentation required, and we have the forms from our legal counsel for the personnel board here in hand now for that.
Thank you, I apologize for not reading over that beforehand.
No worries.
Thank you.
By the way, this was reviewed and approved by our personnel board legal counsel.
Thank you, Rochelle.
You're welcome.
Ordinances, ordinance number 204398, basic standards of care and control of dogs, first reading 3/16/20. Herman or Chip?
Well, this is Herman. Of course, Chief Allen and his department reviewed this. The AKC representative reviewed it. Other advocates for the tethering ordinance reviews very similar to other ordinances that have been adopted by surrounding municipalities. There's been no change made since the March 4th meeting, and we're asking that we move forward, and Chief Allen, after discussions with him, recommends that we move forward with this, and it doesn't become effective for several months, which gives us time to review it further. But we'd ask that we go ahead and get it adopted so we can have it in place.
The Animal Shelter Board has approved this?
Yes.
Okay. Chief, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Do you have anything to add?
No, Herman hit all the points, and it's been approved, and we've looked at it, and we're ready to go.
Mr. Kirby?
We're, as everybody knows, facing a changing new normal. And I know there was at least 2 different individuals that had reservations about this. We already talked about enacting this months into the future. In fact, I've got a document that I want to go out to my car and get right after this meeting and give to Chip if I can, just so y'all can review it. But I would like to see this delayed until such time as we can hold such a meeting as those individuals feel comfortable attending a council meeting to ask their questions on this. Again, I'm not opposed to it. So it comes to us today, or whenever it comes up, I'll probably vote for it. But since individuals express concerns, I think it sends a bad message to the public if we get this passed at a time when they wouldn't feel comfortable being here.
Could they, if they don't feel comfortable coming to a council meeting, could they send us a letter to the clerk?
I don't normally have direct contact with those individuals.
Okay. Okay, Mr.
And
Art.
I would tend to agree with that. Let me say this. I would tend to agree with that because I've gotten a lot of pushback from people in my district regarding this. And I think that whether people show up or not, I think that we need to give them the opportunity to show up and give them an opportunity to address this issue in whatever way they choose to in person.
Mr. Ard?
Well, this does not take place or go into effect till July, is that correct?
That's right.
I'm thinking this crisis will still be with us in July.
If we hold off on this, would that date change, or would it still go into effect in July?
Chief Allen asked that we give it approximately 90 days for it to be implemented and get it in place after it's adopted. That's why it's July. Of course, that was, in all openness, that was before we anticipated what we have presently in the way of a national dilemma. So, but I understand this ordinance has been, we started, I think, in September or October, maybe earlier last year. We certainly don't want to prevent people from having comment, but I know at least one individual that we could he's contacted myself and Chief Allen. We can ask him, if it's okay, we'll ask him to email his concerns, and then we can get those out to y'all, so you can at least see what he's talking about. I do not know about the other person.
If you could have him email the
The fact
clerk,
is,
she could then disseminate that to the council. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
but the fact is that, you're right, we've gone around and around with this for quite some time. So I really don't see the rush to do this. We're having a situation that is upon us now that we had no idea was going to be on us right now. And I think that still the people of this community need the opportunity to address this if they choose to. And I think that there's no rush in doing this, regardless of if we did it a year from now and we extended the 90-day period following that, we still owe the people of the community the opportunity to speak on this issue.
Ms. Hill?
I hear Mr. Jackson's point and Mr. Marks, and I've had people in my district pretty engaged in the process this whole time, so I feel like they're ready to see it on the books, even if we have to make amendments later. I'm not opposed to delaying it, but, you know, as soon as we're through this COVID-19, then I'd say let's add it back, but I feel like we've had lots of time for people to express their concerns. It's been in the paper numerous times, so I'm just voicing how I feel, but I'm not opposed to compromising and delaying it, but I don't want it delayed. I mean, obviously I don't know how long this COVID-19 is going to take place, but I just feel like we've had pretty ample time for people to speak up on the issue.
And we've had ample time for people to speak up on the issue. We've not had ample time for people to speak up in front of the body of the council. And we've had a couple of people come in and to speak before the council, but no set time for people to come and say, we're going to discuss this now. So I think that regardless of how long it takes for us to get beyond the situation that we're in now, we still owe the public the opportunity to have a chance to speak on that.
I don't disagree with you. I feel like all our meetings are open to the public when it's being discussed all the time, but again, I'm not opposed to delaying it. But I can tell you people in my district are ready to see it move forward.
Mr. Jackson, do you think maybe a public session that we've done on other issues could be applicable here?
Say that again?
A public session that we would just deal with this issue for the public, an open session, do you think that would be applicable here?
I think that whatever opportunity we provide to people to speak with this, on this, but following the situation that we're in right now, people aren't going to gather right now to speak on this, and you know that.
Sure.
So I think that anytime once we get beyond the situation that we're in now with COVID-19, then I think it'd be a perfect opportunity for everyone to get together and to share their opinions on this.
Okay, I agree that now is not the time to have a public session on this, but maybe that could offer up our opportunities for the community to voice their opinion. Chief, are you okay with that?
That's not a bad idea.
Chief Allen, are you okay with that?
Yes, ma'am, I am. No problem.
Okay, thank you. Would we like to table this now until this current issue is finished?
My general statement would be until the state of emergency is over.
Council?
You can't vote to table it, you can just decide to pull it off.
Can I just get an idea of what everybody thinks? Okay. Ms. Hill, Mr. Ard, Mr. Jackson, does that sound okay?
You faded out. Does what sound okay now?
To take this off of the agenda now and then revisit it once our current situation is better?
Absolutely.
Great. Ms. Hill?
That's fine.
Mr. Ard?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, well then we will take this off, and then once our situation has changed with this virus situation, we will then look at a date for a public session to let the public come share their concerns.
Thank you.
All righty. Ordinance number 204399, model airplane lease with the landfill. First reading 3/16/20. Ricky or Herman?
Or Wanda?
Well, it's no change from when it was first introduced. It's basically just continuing on the Model Airplane Club, the landfill, and it's isolated for obvious reasons. So it's, but it renews in a few months. We're just trying to go ahead and get it so they know that they have it in place.
That's a good question.
So it's just extending the lease from its previous expiration date that'll come up here before too long.
Wanda, are you
No
still?
change since the last time we talked about it.
Okay, Wanda, are you still on the line?
Yes.
Are you okay with this?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, Mr. Kirby.
I'm all right.
Mr. Ard?
I'm good with it.
Ms. Hill?
That's fine.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Great.
If
Thank
I'm
you.
not mistaken, these people are going to be out in open air, away from everybody for the most part.
Ordinance, first reading, ordinance number 204406. Annexations include voting districts and precincts. Stacy, is that you? Or is that someone else? Chip?
I guess it's Herman or Karen. Karen helped develop the legal description. All we're doing here is we're incorporating into the precincts and the voting districts those annexations that have occurred since the last general election. We need to do this before this next general election. That's all it's doing. It's just incorporating those annexations into our voting and precinct. One example that has no impact on voters is one in Limestone County, which was the RTP annexation, but that's incorporated. So, but anyway, that's what the purpose of this is, to get it in place before our next general election. So those that have been annexed, which there are very few as far as voters, will have an opportunity to vote in the next general election.
Thank you, Herman. Mr.
And Karen
Kirby?
did an excellent job of getting all that, the legal descriptions and all that incorporated.
Thank you, Herman. Mr. Kirby?
And may I make a comment? I do have a map that shows the different areas if you'd like me to provide it.
Thank you, Karen. If you don't mind, please send that.
Electronically, can you do it?
I'm sorry?
Can you do it electronically?
Yes, Karen, can you do that electronically, please, to council?
Yes, is Wednesday soon enough, or do you want it tonight?
Mr. Kirby? Wednesday's
I have
fine.
it done, I'm just not sure where I've put it right
That's
now.
fine. Wednesday's fine. Mr. Kirby?
And this is a no-brainer. We've got no choice but get this done.
Correct. Mr. Ard?
I'm good with it.
Ms. Hill?
I'm good with it.
Mr. Jackson?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, that's all for this agenda. I do have one thing. Chief Allen, you still are on the line, is that correct? Chief Allen? Great. I'm just going to reiterate to the public that you have suspended our downtown A&E district right now until we get past this virus. I'm not sure that everyone was made aware of that. We're just reiterating that to the public, that you will reinstate that once you feel that that is a safe thing to do. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Thank you. Anything from council?
I got something I just want to talk about briefly. I've spent the weekend being safe for me, as you might say. I'm going to think of it as saving everybody else's life too, being socially distant. If you haven't been out and about and seen some things, you've got an economic wasteland out there right now. And based on that, I think we should make some adjustments accordingly. Right now, until this emergency is over, I don't think we need to do any extra hiring of any positions that are new. I think that we need to look at any positions we hire right now as being limited to critical need, like first responders. And I think we should curtail spending in most departments right now. Again, the spending could be turned loose when the emergency is over, but if we're not forced to spend money on something right now, I think the spending should be curtailed as much as possible, because we have no idea what the effect is going to be on our budget. A lot of the actual brick and mortar sales will convert to online sales, and there'll be a little bit of delay getting that online money. And remember, on that online money, we get 60 cents of every dollar we should have gotten. So no matter what, we're going to lose money, and if the virus issue lingers on a while, we will lose a lot of money.
Rochelle, do we have any current hiring going on?
We do have public safety positions and our planning department.
Okay, so public safety and planning, okay. And then also, Charles, I know that the mayor had sent out a request also that we kind of suspend that too,
Hey,
except for what we had
this is
passed
Pat. Can you hear me?
previously. Spending as far as anything else, except for
He
what
has
we,
specifically requested it.
he did, except for what we had already passed, safety-wise, which was last, I think.
So are the department heads themselves implementing this?
Right,
We're
it-
talking the capital items, the
Yeah.
6 items that were the princess, the library roof, the heating and cooling, the forklift, and the flooring. Those items that were approved a meeting or so ago, they're saying let those go through, but not address any more capital.
Anything that hasn't come before us yet, we're sitting on.
Have that one more time, please, I'm sorry.
Very good.
Any other comments, Charles? I believe, Mayor, are you with us?
I am. I was just waiting. So we have asked for directors. There's no additional headcount approvals that will take place. Less first responders, and of course, street and environmental. We want to be sure that we're providing public safety for our residents, as well as sanitation collection. As for financial approvals or spending, of course, we have some purchase orders that are already committed, but we've asked that everything else be suspended at this time unless it were to come before the council.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Mr. Ard?
And I've sent an email out to that effect. Mr. Kirby should have a copy of that. It was delivered to him as well.
Ms. Hill?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hill?
No.
Mr. Jackson?
No, I don't have anything.
Thank you. I would like to say, very good point, Mayor. We have got some fantastic departments and department heads. Street and sanitation have done a wonderful job. I took pictures one day. Just think what a fix we'd be in without them. It could be way worse than it is now. So thank you, employees, every department, not just first responders, everyone who comes to work every day. You are keeping the city running, and that is an important thing. Government does not stop during things like this. And thank you for supporting us, and thank you, council, thank you, mayor, thank you, everyone here tonight. Do we have anyone here or any directors that need to say anything? All right. Mayor, do you have anything else to add? I assume that's a no. Thank you. Y'all have a good evening. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait 1 second. We do. We have, if residents have any, we have a, Stacy, if you could give me that again, please. I apologize. We have an, oh, Mr.
No,
Kirby,
ma'am.
there you go. We have an email address. If there are any questions, we will stick around for about 1 minute. Any questions from the public, you can send it to this email address, and we will answer that for you if we can. So we'll give that about a minute, folks. Sure, no worries. Mr. Kirby, if you could work that a little better like Savannah. No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. They're already hanging up on us. About 30 more seconds. And thank you, Wally Terry, for cutting it from 3 minutes. 3 minutes was a long time in planning the other day. You don't think 3 minutes is a long time until you wait that long in silence. Exactly. Stacy, any questions?
No.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.